Hi guys, so for social studies, we are starting a new unit. We're going to be talking about landforms. And so your attendance questions this morning was to tell me any landforms that you may have learned about. Maybe you know, maybe you've seen some. And so we're just going to kind of go over what are landforms and some landforms in Texas. So let's get started. So here we have a picture of some different landforms. We're going to come back and we're going to see if we can label some of these. So landforms are natural shapes that make up the Earth's surface. There are many types of landforms. They come in different shapes and sizes. Landforms are the Earth's outer layer. This layer is called the crust. Most landforms take many years to form. Many of them were formed even hundreds of centuries ago. So the landforms that you are seeing, guys, are ones that have been made, many years ago as the Earth has moved and shifted. What makes landforms? Most landforms were formed long ago by heat, pressure, and movement in and on the Earth. Earthquakes and volcanoes can help create new landforms. These forces can also change the landforms already on Earth. Earthquakes move and separate the Earth's crust. Volcanoes spill lava, which builds up to make new landforms. So we can kind of think the earthquakes and volcanoes for making new landforms, some of that kind of help form our Earth. Ice, water, and wind can all change the Earth's surface. These things break down the materials on the Earth's crust. This weathering is a natural process that is always taking place. Weathering changes the land by loosening the Earth's surface. Sometimes these loosened surfaces move away. This is called erosion, and we'll learn more about this too in social studies. Actually, weathering is something that we talked about in science. Sometimes the parts that have moved away build up again in other places. Hills and mountains are made, valleys are formed, rivers can even seem smaller or disappear because of erosion. Even though nature is usually responsible for changing landforms, people help too. Humans live on the land. Sometimes the land must be cleared, formed, or mined. Then people also changing the way the land looks. People also try to find ways to protect landforms from the forces of nature. So we're going to talk more about how we as humans have modified the Earth. So modified means we've kind of changed it to kind of fit, how we live and what we need, what we need out of our land. So let's look at the landform. It says below are landforms you should be able to identify and describe. So let's kind of talk about some of these. So mountains, think about how many of y'all have ever seen mountains before? So let's go talk about what are mountains. Mountains are the highest type of landform on Earth. They often rise up hundreds of meters above Earth's surface. The highest mountain in the United States is Denali, formerly Mount McKinley in Alaska. The highest mountain in Texas is Guadalupe Peak near El Paso. Okay, so let's kind of look back up at our picture and see if we can find some mountains. So these right here are our mountains. They're the highest points. See if you can tell. So these are our mountains. Hills. Hills are landforms that raise slightly above the land around them. Hills are smaller than mountains. So let's kind of look at our picture. So these right here, would be our mountains, and these smaller ones would be our hills. So they don't get as big and tall as mountains do. So these little, I kind of think of hills as they're rounded at the top. If you've ever gone what we call the hill country in Texas, kind of up where San Antonio, Austin area is, and you're driving and you kind of go up and down. So those are our hills. Cliff. A cliff is a high, steep land that is the face of a rock. So let's look at our picture. So these would be, this right here, a cliff. So it's like, here's the rocks and it's the face of it. Mesa. A mesa is a mountain with a flat top. The sides of a mesa are usually very tall and steep. I'm thinking that's this. Thinking that this is what this is. A mesa. I've never really seen one of those. A cave is a hole in the ground or in the side of a hill or mountain. Many animals make their homes in caves. Carlos Bend caverns in New Mexico are large room-sized caves underground. So this would be a cave right here. A delta. A delta is an area of land at the point where a river reaches an ocean. Deltas are areas where earth builds up into new land. So they're a point where a river reaches the ocean. So that would be these. Those are deltas. A canyon. A canyon is a deep, narrow valley where very tall, steep sides. Canyons are usually landforms made by water movement. A large canyon in the United States is the Grand Canyon in Arizona. I'm sure everyone has heard of that. I've always wanted to go see the Grand Canyon. An island. An island is a land that is surrounded by water. The state of Hawaii is actually made up of islands. So the state of Hawaii is just different islands. A lake. A lake is a body of water with land on all sides. Lakes can be natural or made by people. Really large lakes are often called seas. Rivers. Rivers are large flowing bodies of water that move across the land. They can join up with other rivers or flow into the ocean or a sea. So the difference between a lake and a river is a lake has land all around it, and it doesn't go out into the ocean. A river is where a river usually flows and they'll flow in together and then they go out into the ocean. An ocean is a large body of salt water. There are 5 major oceans on Earth: Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, and the Southern Ocean and Arctic Ocean. So when you go to the beach here in Texas, that's not the ocean, that's the Gulf of Mexico. Plain. A plain is a flat piece of land. The Great Plain region of the United States covers most of the central part of the United States. And then a valley. A valley is low land between hills and mountains. Napa Valley is a large valley with communities in California. So let's kind of go back and look at our map and see if we can find some of these. So here's an island. So if you notice, it's out by itself in the middle of the water. This is a lake. Here's our rivers. This is a valley because it has, what did it say that valleys had? Is a low land between hills and mountains. So this is a valley. All this flat land, guys, would be plains. Let's see, what else did it talk about? A delta is a land, point or river. We talked about that one. A canyon is a deep, narrow valley with steep, tall sides. I don't think I see a canyon on this one. Islands, lakes, rivers, and then this would be our ocean. Okay, so you have a link that I want you to click on, and I want you to tell me, you can tell me, you'll have to type in 3, but you don't have to type in 3. You can do 1, 2, or 3 landforms that we have talked about.